Welcome to Retail Retold, the stories behind how that store landed in your neighborhood. I'm Chris Ressa, in conversation with the people and stories shaping retail and real estate. Brought to you by DLC.
Welcome to Retail Retold, everyone. Today I'm joined by Jennifer Rood. Jennifer is franchise development manager for Dairy Queen. She's been with Dairy Queen for over 20 years. I'm excited for her to be on the show today. Welcome, Jennifer.
Thank you, Chris.
This is exciting. Dairy Queen, an iconic brand. So I love iconic, nostalgic brands. Tell us a little bit more about who you are and what you do, Jennifer.
Thanks, Chris. I'm a franchise developer with American Dairy Queen Corporation. I cover the Midwest. We divide the country up 5 ways. And so we start with a franchisee inquiry. When a franchisee or a prospective franchisee inquires about becoming a franchisee of Dairy Queen, we start with them. We walk them through the process of becoming a franchisee, and we also handle the real estate and site selection for that franchisee's DQ Grill and Chill location.
Got it. So it's not just real estate, it's other parts of the franchise development process that you're a part of.
Exactly.
Walk us through some of those. What are some other parts of the franchise process as somebody makes an inquiry on Dairy Queen's website saying, you know what, I would be interested in being a franchisee?
Well, we make sure that they're qualified first, both financially and that this organization or person is going to be a good fit, going to be a good franchisee of ours. And we divide up our responsibility by geography. So like I said, I cover the Midwest, and I'll talk with them about their area of interest. So when people contact us, they may already be a Dairy Queen franchisee. They may be coming from outside of our brand, but in the restaurant industry, or they may be coming to us from a different industry and joining and becoming a franchisee of something for the first time.
And I've noticed a lot of franchise companies have really pivoted to these mega companies that own multiple franchise agreements throughout a system. Are many of the franchisees that you work with sole proprietors or have 1, 2, 3 locations, or many of these groups companies that have 100 other restaurant locations and want 75 Dairy Queens?
Well, we have some of both ends of that spectrum. So maybe the history of Dairy Queen, because it's over an 80-year-old brand, we may have had more of the what would be described as mom and pop franchisees. But when we develop today, we're developing the DQ Grill and Chill concept, which is a pretty involved concept. It's a 2,600 square foot building with a drive-through, a big crew, and that operation really doesn't necessarily lend itself to just one single owner operator model. So we get more folks coming to us that have either had other businesses or have other businesses, and some of those include other, large portfolios of franchises, as long as it's not a competitively restricted brand.
Okay, that makes sense. Which leads me into the DQ Grill and Chill, which is a different concept than what some might think of as the old school Dairy Queen. Why don't you tell us what this new prototype and new concept is?
Well, it depends where you are in the country. You may see a lot of the smaller treat focused menu locations, even some of the locations that were built before a drive-through was a thing, and then they were able to add a drive-through later. The DQ Grill and Chill is a menu that includes burgers, fries, chicken strip basket, and then, of course, all of the delicious, iconic treats that you know Dairy Queen for. The Blizzard, the Royal Treats, Dairy Queen cakes, and novelties.
I love an Oreo Blizzard.
That's a classic.
I love an Oreo Blizzard. The Is Dairy Queen rolling out any of the treat only locations right now, or they're all DQ grill and chills?
We're really focused on DQ Grill and Chill, and it definitely needs to have a drive-through.
Understood. I recently had someone on the podcast from HTO, and he said something interesting, which was they were trying to bring the in-store experience to the drive-through, which I found interesting. The uh, Many brands are focused on drive-through locations. I understand that. What's going to happen to the red barn looking Dairy Queens of yesteryear? Are those still going to be around? Are those going to be converted? What should we expect?
If the franchisee is interested in converting to DQ Grill and Chill, they definitely have the opportunity to do that. They often, depending on the size of their existing location, they may need to relocate in order to do that to fit, because the DQ Grill and Chill, needs a certain stack in the drive-through to handle the business that they're going to do. So they're they may need to relocate if they convert, or they may choose to just operate their business under the menu that they currently have. But when we develop new, we're very focused on DQ Grill and Chill with drive-through.
There's no mandate. I don't think, and you can tell me if there is, but I know some brands sometimes mandate, like, we're upgrading this. You need to reload and do this, or you're losing your franchise agreement when it rolls. Is there a mandate to convert?
It depends on the individual contract. Being an 80-year-old brand, there are some contracts that have limited restrictions.
Got it. Okay. Understood. So that's helpful. Interesting insights on what Dairy Queen's up to today. How's business today? What's going on in the grill and chill world or the treat world? Clearly, we just came out of a very unique time period. All all indications when you read headline news is the consumer strong and retail and restaurant is rebounding. What's Dairy Queen seeing today?
Well, Dairy Queen's pretty busy today. During the pandemic, many of our locations that have drive-throughs were able to continue serving the fans whenever they wanted it, whenever they wanted Dairy Queen, wherever they wanted Dairy Queen, but they had to do it all through the drive-through. There were locations. We do have locations that don't have drive-throughs or are inside of a mall that really struggled during that time. We are seeing the business coming back to those captive venues or to those locations that don't have drive-throughs, but the drive-through locations have been very strong. The fans definitely wanted to get their Dairy Queen. Uh, During the pandemic, they can visit us for all different kinds of reasons. They want to celebrate something, they want to treat themselves, they want to comfort food, they want to console themselves, and they've been able to do that during this time.
I, I have seen a ton of Dairy Queens throughout the years that were like this, and maybe my description's terrible, but like this red barn looking Dairy Queen. And you would walk up, order your ice cream, they would give it to you, and then you would either go sit outside and eat it or go bring it home. Were many of those open? They don't have drive-throughs, but they were like old ice cream stands. And there's actually one not too far from me. Were those open through the pandemic?
If they were able to be open through the pandemic, they were. And there are many locations that have adopted third-party delivery and ways to get the product to the fan even without a drive-through. Mobile ordering, third-party delivery through DoorDash, Uber Eats, and providers like that.
Yep. That makes sense to me. The word you keep using is fan. Many companies use words customers, guests. You're using the word fan. Is that an internal word that Dairy Queen calls the customer?
Yes, we definitely have fans.
Makes sense. Yeah, for 80 years you have to have friends. You're not around for 80 years if you don't have fans. That is for sure. Okay. That's a really helpful insights on DQ, on what you guys are up to. I want to bring us to a section of the show called Clear the Air. Learn a little bit more about Jennifer. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Jennifer, what is one skill you don't possess but you wish you did?
I cannot swim.
Really?
I cannot swim. I can dog paddle, and I love to snorkel. I love to go boating. I grew up on the water, but if I need to get to if from point A to point B, I struggle.
Wow. You have to back me up here. How does someone who grew up on the water never have learned how to swim well? How does that happen?
I tried. I took swimming lessons.
So you
Maybe
know
that's
how
why
to
I like.
swim. So you know how to swim. You're just not good at it?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. All right. I don't know that I'm a great swimmer either, but I would say I know how to swim. I'm not putting myself in the Michael Phelps territory by any stretch of the imagination. Um, that's a good one. No one's mentioned that. That's a great one. Okay. Question 2. When is the last time you did something for the first time?
That's really easy. It was this weekend. My son just started a job and he wears a tie every day. So he has asked my husband to help him tie his ties. And I thought, well, how hard can it be to learn? My husband wasn't around. I said, let's just pull up YouTube and let's just teach ourselves how to tie a tie. And I'm going to have to continue my lessons there too.
It's funny you mentioned tie. So recently I start traveling for work again and I'm packing my suitcase. And I said, you know what? I want to fold my clothes like they do at the clothing store. And lo and behold, you can YouTube that too. And I was learning how to fold clothes like they do at the clothing store. Now, I'm not as good as the people at the clothing store, but I am much improved and I fit a lot more, much more organized into my suitcase after watching this 90-second clip.
Do you use any kind of a board or
Yeah.
anything?
So unbeknownst to me, I didn't even know there was a board. So the clip on YouTube said grab a magazine. So
Oh,
my daughter and I grabbed a magazine and here we were folding. So
so she's learning too.
yes, she'll be 4 in June. So she was a big help.
Great.
Okay. Last question. What is one thing most people agree with, but you do not?
Shameless promotion, but when you go to Dairy Queen, a lot of times people think this is a special occasion. I need to get a big blizzard. I need to get a peanut butter parfait. I need to get something significant. I say go smaller. Get the mini blizzard. Try some different ones. Go a little bit more frequently. It doesn't have to be a special occasion to treat yourself to a little bit of dessert.
Hallelujah. I agree. Treats are big in my household. So I agree. Okay. That was great. Appreciate you sharing. Now I want to turn the tables. I want to bring us to Brainerd, Minnesota. You have a story about a store there. The floor is yours, Jennifer.
Thank you. So how did that restaurant get to that neighborhood in Brainerd, Minnesota?
There you go.
It started with the franchisees. So the franchisees of of some Dairy Queens in Brainerd and around Brainerd wanted to build a DQ Grill and Chill. And let me just describe that area a little bit. Brainerd is really central Minnesota. It's a community called the Brainerd Lakes community. So it's about 2 hours north of the Minneapolis and St. Paul Twin Cities, where I'm based. And folks from the Twin Cities go up to these lakes and they vacation in resorts. Many people own a cabin. There is actually a rush hour on Fridays in the spring and summer of people going up to the lakes area. So Brainerd is really the center of this area and where you would find, Costco, Target, big box retail. And so they wanted to build another location in Brainerd. And there were two kind of areas of this community where you'd naturally develop. One is technically Baxter, which is immediately west of Brainerd, and along that path of travel that people would take to go to the lakes and the resorts and their cabins and things like that. And then there's Brainerd itself, where many of the permanent residents live and work, and where the high school and the downtown are located. So we looked for multiple locations, and the franchisee is husband and wife team. They joined our brand when they purchased some Dairy Queens, and they actually had kind of an interesting background. She had worked for Dairy Queen for the corporation right out of college, and she was one of the opening team people. And he had had a career in community banking. And so we looked together. We looked in the traditional retail area along that path of travel. And we also looked in East Brainerd. We found a conversion opportunity. It was a former KFC, and before that, it had been a bank. So it had a drive-through, it had a dining room. It was actually a little bit larger than our standard footprint. But it was well located, and they decided they wanted to locate in that part of town.
Wow. And did you have any concerns that this KFC had failed prior?
There are always some thoughts about that. Why is the other restaurant not? Why did the other restaurant not perform there? And that really wasn't a major concern. I can tell you where there were some concerns. I know your listeners are all real estate professionals. So we've all probably entered a space that was a former restaurant that is no longer operating. And your imagination kind of runs away with you.
Yeah, totally.
What am I going to find in there? Did they empty the walk-in coolers? Did the power get shut off? So it's a little bit daunting. And when we went in, I was with the franchisee, and then his broker, showed up with the keys, and we entered the space, and it was, smelled great, and it was fairly clean for having been a former restaurant location. And before that, it was a bank in the 70s, so it had some interesting, ceiling elements that there was a skylight. They were able to retain the skylight and make it look current and modern, and DQ grill and chill finishes everywhere. So it was a good story to go in.
Was this a purchase or a lease?
They were able to purchase this property in this building.
And a lot of times these vacant buildings, they're sometimes tough to purchase because of the current ownership in them. They either used to have income coming in, and if they sell it as vacant, then the price is less because they're selling it as land essentially. Was there a tough economic discussion here?
What was really nice is because this franchisee's background was in banking and he was part of the community, they were part of the community, they were pretty well networked to handle the negotiation. They didn't need a lot of support from us on that. We need to approve the site always, and the economics of the site and the layout in that structure, and make sure that the brand is going to be able to be well represented and handle the business. But they were pretty well skilled in that area.
Got it. Makes sense. And was this a So the way I kind of, and I don't know Brainerd, the way I'm kind of hearing it, it seems like it was or is more of a vacation spot than, and that's what really drives it. Is there a year-round community?
There is definitely a year-round community. So I would say the population in that area between Brainerd and Baxter is probably around 20,000 people. But where they located was actually more serving the community, the permanent community of Brainerd. Tourists definitely can find the Dairy Queen and visit the Dairy Queen, and especially tourism that repeats going to that area, gets to know what's in the area, what's available. But tourism wasn't the driving reason to go to this location.
Got it. Okay, that makes sense. Now I've got better context. That's an add-on. If that happens, great. But the permanency of the community supports it on its own.
I understand people buy Dairy Queen cakes and take them to their campsite.
Ah, interesting. So it's the store is open,
The store is open.
and
Yeah.
what is the time period when this happened? When did?
So the store opened in the summer of 2019. And actually, you may have heard of this location because it made national news in December when they experienced a 900 car pay it forward. December of 2020, pandemic, uncertainty, people doing everything through the drive-through. They get people doing a pay it forward in Dairy Queens. That happens, but it usually fizzles out after 10, 15 cars, something like that. This location had the pay it forward continue for over 2.5 days.
So wow, my mind is blown. So there was 900 cars that went through this drive-through for 2.5 days straight.
Yeah,
Were they open 24 hours at this point?
they were not open 24 hours. What would happen is at the end of the day, there would be a customer that would say, I want to give some extra money so that this pay it forward can continue tomorrow. And their area manager, she's really, really great at social media and being involved with the community. And she put it on the Facebook page for this restaurant. Yeah, there's money left for the pay it forward. Maybe it'll continue tomorrow. And it wound up going 2.5 days.
Wow. So describe for the audience what this pay it forward is. What's a pay it forward?
So the pay it forward is when a customer says, they're in the drive-through and they're saying, I'm going to pay for what I've just ordered, but I would like to pay for the car behind me. And and then the car behind them gets told, your order has been paid for by the car ahead of you, and you have the option if you'd like to do it for the car behind you. It really became something that was really engaging. The employees were excited about it. The customers were excited about it. Other customers returned and did it again. Customers left money in a pool for those that might not be able to afford to pay for the car behind them.
Wow. That This is incredible. So store opens in 2019, gets open, and then boom, we have a pandemic. There's a challenge, right? Not as easy to do business. And there's a lot of people trying to support local business nationwide. And this store in Brainerd, Minnesota happens to create this pay it forward, and it turned into 900 cars over 2.5 days. Was there a continuous line? There had to be a continuous line all day.
I don't know if there was a continuous line all day, but it definitely continued. And I would maybe just contradict you a little bit. I don't think the store started the pay it forward. The customers started the pay it forward.
Right.
And then the customers continued the pay it forward. And it all became something that was like larger than all of them. It was
That's
really exciting, even for the crew.
so cool. Okay. Well, that is something you don't hear every day. And there was a lot of great stories you heard through the pandemic, but that is one of the better ones. And kudos to Americans supporting small business. So
Absolutely.
great story. Love to hear it. Thank you for sharing. I want to bring us to the last part of the show. You ready, Jennifer?
I am ready.
All right, I've got 3 questions for you. Okay. Question 1. What extinct retailer do you wish would come back from the dead?
I gotta say Woolworths. I grew
Ah.
up in a small town, and I can remember being in this Woolworths, and I was a kid, so I spent a lot of time in the candy aisle, and I think I may have even gotten a parakeet there. But I would love it to come back just because I wanna see what else did they have. I think they have some of everything.
I didn't know they had parakeets, but that's incredible. Okay. Know the store, though. I love that answer. Question 2. What's the last item over $20 that you bought in a store?
There is a local floral and nursery chain here, and we were visiting some friends who just bought a new home, so I bought them a plant as a housewarming gift.
It 'tis the season. I'm looking at my graphs and making sure I hit the right spots and seeing all the plants that are struggling, making sure I hit them too. So I know it well. Love good plants. Okay. Last question. Jennifer, if you and I were shopping at Target and I lost you, what aisle would I find you in?
Well, I can guarantee I've been in every single aisle of a Target, from one end to the other, every single aisle. But you would definitely find me in the normal grocery aisle: coffee, cereal, dairy. I live 10 minutes away from 2 different Targets.
Yeah, you're in their home state. So
Yes, I am.
you're in their home state. Okay. Well, Jennifer, this was terrific. Thank you so much for coming on. I love the story. The pay it forward is incredible. Really cool coming out of the pandemic, learning about these types of things. So thank you for sharing. And we'll have to do this again sometime.
Really appreciate you having me on, Chris. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, Jennifer, that was great. Thank you so much.
I felt like the beginning I was a little bit awkward.
You were terrific. You weren't awkward at all. You were terrific.
Okay. Okay.
Terrific. If there's any awkwardness, my team will take care of it, but you were not.
Okay.
You were not. You were terrific. And I love the background.
Thank you. That's what I was trying to do. I'm not a big Zoom person. We use Microsoft Teams, so I was trying to figure out how to
That's
put.
great.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Well, how's everything else going? Business?
We're really busy. We're really busy. And franchise development is very busy as well.
Are you a lot of new people trying to get in?
In the early months, we were really concerned. In the early months of the pandemic, we were really concerned because you you can't predict what a pandemic is going to do to people. At this point, our pipeline is about 40% higher than it's been in prior years.
Wow. That's terrific. And the sales bouncing back for the operators?
I think they're bouncing back for the mall locations that were really affected when that they didn't have their foot traffic and things like that. Um, Dairy Queen franchisees with drive-through on the street have been very strong. The fans really wanted Dairy Queen. It was a
You know
really
what percentage are drive through? What percentage of Dairy Queens? How many Dairy Queens are there in the world?
There are 7,000 Dairy Queens in over 20 countries.
Wow.
Yeah, and about 4,300 in the United States.
Wow. And do you know how many drive throughs you have?
I don't have that figure.
Got it. Wow. 7,000 Dairy Queens.
Yeah. Yep.
Who knew? Are you the largest ice cream treat brand in the world?
Yeah, I think we are the market share of frozen dessert, we are at the top.
Frozen dessert. Got it. Okay. Well, listen, Jennifer, this was great. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much for the time. And
Thank you.
you did terrific. Don't worry.
Thanks.
All right.
Take care.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
Appreciate you watching. Hit subscribe. See you in the next one.